This is a review of the library Kiwi JS. The first things we are going to do is launch the server live, which allow us see the code live. This is my name. So we are going to go to the documentation of this library and we are going to install the first demo, which is Hello World, and it uses the URL of the library in this way. Of course, it is the easy way, but it's not the more professional. So something better we can do is download the library. We already did before. We already done before, so it's the same. We can just put in our project folder ignore it for a while, and we can use straight the relative path, and we can see it is still working. Hello there. So the third approach to use this library is using another file in this way. For example, bringing this way, bringing this code, generating a new file, importing in this way. Yeah. So as you can see, instead of export, we directly instantiate the class and insert into the app element, which is this one. So now we have three files: the HTML, which import the module is itself, which is a class which extends of component class, which is placed into our project folder, and it is still working. Of course, there is an issue here, which is we load 1, 2, 3 files instead of 2, for example, because this is a module and this one is another module. But we can fix this problem using Webpack and transpiling as a JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript in other versions. So in order to be compatible with a lot of older browsers. So in the good things of this approach is we can continue with the tutorials which are arranged, organized properly. So as you can see here in the module app, we implement these two lines, which are the calling of the method query selector, which insert the component into the HTML here. So that is all the explanation of this tutorial, number 1, and we can continue with the tutorial number 2, which is speak about how is a component. Mainly, a component have to extend the class component, and the have a method named template which return a string. It's highly recommended use back quotes because this allows us break lines in this way. For example, h1 hello world h1 sorry there is no issue here. We can put, instead of h1 we can use I, and that is good. Another thing we can do in this way is we can implement some method which return a string, hello planet, return this is spelling, and we can put here an interpolation which is more natural than the React syntax. This is PHP. This some method. And here we can see hello planets. So the chapter number 3 speak about event listener, which is interesting. If we want to hook an event, for example a click, we have to register the event in this way, and then we have to make a callback. We can delete this method for a while, and this one also, hello there. The template, okay. Into the template we can map the name of the attribute have to be the same event name we set here, we register here, and the value of the attribute have to be a method of this instance, which, so as you can see in the full screen, we are mapping this event, this method, with the event click in this element. So if we go to the here, it say click me, and when we click it we get an alert. Of course, as you can see, we receive the event object, which allows us get the, in this case, the outer HTML. It can be the inner HTML also, and if this were an input, for example, input, okay, I wasn't ready, input, click, do something, camel case, and if we, okay, we can put value by default. Anytime we click, okay, I forgot, we can put the value, I mean, in this case, yeah. So we receive the event object as as parameter of the function, but we have to register the event in this way. So that is the explanation we have here. Then we have subcomponents, which is easy to understand. It's like a child. We don't need to export in this way. We just put some class. Okay, as you can see, we have a setChildComponent method where we have to register the childs of this component. In this case, the child is header, and in the header we have a list. We can see the result here. That is the requirement. Every component have to extend from the components class, and you have to register the subcomponents. Of course, you can here get a lot of text, for example, something like this. It is just okay, something like this. ul li something really big here. Oh, and it can stay here. The subcomponent could be in any place. So that is, so one list is here and the other list is here, and even we can put HR. Yeah. At the moment, it's not allowed tags self-close. This make an error. So self-close tag is not allowed at the moment, but we can fix it, this one, in later versions. So that is the topic about subcomponent. The next one is properties. Properties in this framework, in this library, are methods executed into the subcomponents. That's it. Is method executed into the subcomponent. So you can share with your subcomponents some method. Of course, the main target of the properties is transfer data from the parent component to the child component. We can override this class and see. We register the subcomponents. We have, in this case, we don't record any event, but we if we put any attribute into a subcomponent, which is registered here, any attribute is understood as a property. As you can see, links 1 here is a property in the subcomponent header, and the value of the attribute is the method of the parent component instance, in this case links 2. As you can see, it returns an array, and that is the array which is used to make the list in the child component. We can see the result. We can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, save the result here. The next topic is code for lazy guys, or to follow the trending, which is working with arrays in the subcomponents. or in the component. Yeah, in the subcomponents with the properties, which is properties map. We made a method that we are going to see in a few seconds, which allows us use this syntax. We have a map and we send the property. In this case, we name the property links. And then we send a callback and we get a string from this array. So you can see the result is pretty similar as, it's the same result as we see before. But in this case, we have kind of decorator for any element of the array, which is a similar syntax used in React. So in the documentation, you can see there is a method in the library which that in fact does is just map the array, convert it in a string, and then replace the comma, which naturally is put in it in the string when you convert an array into a string. Of course, the property have to be an array, have to return an array, and the content of the array doesn't have to have a comma. I think we have to fix this. I will do it right now because the component, let me check it out, it's executed just once, and maybe we have to do something like this. In order to replace every comma and not only just the first one. We can check it putting one else. Documentation, get start documentation demos. It's working, but if we go back, we can see the comma because this only executes once. It's executed once. I need to commit the change and put it in the GitHub right now after this video. Okay. What? Why? Okay, yeah. This is some change I made. I don't know. Remember when? Maybe a few seconds ago. Okay, continuing with the tutorial. Chapter 7, we are going to speak something important which is the state. The state is data of the component that is used to re-render the component when it's changed, when it change itself. For example, okay, we are going to copy the example here. So what we have here, we have only one class named SumClass. We have a template. We have the state here into the string. As you can see, we have a set state which is a method which is overridden in the component class. In the component class, we have a state, and we have the set state, which return an empty object, and we have set default state, which is called in the constructor of the component class. So in this way, we override with this method the parent method set state, and we have in this state the attribute n with the value 0. So the interesting here is we can update the state, and when we update this property named new state with the state changed, we are going to re-render the object. It could be, it have to be, I was thinking about this, a method, because this is a behavior. It doesn't have to be just an assignation. But at the moment, I will give it in this way. Maybe it's a bad idea. Oh, but okay, we can see the example in this case, and as you can imagine, this have a message which is click me with 0, and every time you click this element, the state is increased by 1, and then the component is re-rendered. That's it. In this way, yeah, we work with a state in order to re-render the component into the DOM, document object module. One feature we can put in addition of this topic is use local storage, which allows us persist the data into the browser. We can get a value by default when there is no local storage into the browser, and as local storage just storage strings, we have to convert into a string. No, we have to parse in order to make it an object or a string or number, and then assign to the variable. And when we store the value, we have to use JSON stringify in order to save only one string into the local storage. The place where we use the local storage is in the set state method. So in this way, when the component is created, we retrieve data from the browser if there is defined. If this is undefined, we set the default value, which is in this case 0. Before we render the object, the instance, the component, we save into the local storage the new value of the state. So as you can imagine now, we will see click me, but anytime we refresh, okay, something happened. Anytime we refresh, oh my goodness. Okay, we are getting the value from the, we try to get the value from the browser, but we are not saving it. So now, yes, anytime we refresh the page, we get the value from the local storage, which is located, you can see it, can see them here. if we delete the value, we can get 0 again. So in this way, we mix local storage with state, which is a good practice. Next topic, after render. This is a lifecycle hook, which allows us execute vanilla JavaScript after the component is executed. For example, this example, yeah, we are going to override the class. Let me check. In this case, we have after render parent node. We receive the parent of this component node instance, or whatever way you want to call it. And because this allows us looking for into the component any node which has this attribute. For example, we can use query selector into the parent, because we cannot looking for an element when you have only one element, because this is the element and we are looking for into the childs of the element. So that's why we pointed to the parent. So of course you have a general scope, because you can get the body, for example, or you can directly looking for into the parent node in order to find itself and do something with itself. In this case, we set the background in the body and the background of this container, because I didn't find it. I didn't realize. Yeah, no, sorry. So to the same component, which is the node which have this attribute here. Okay, we can put this one also. We can put ID. My favorite ID. My favorite ID. Camel case. Okay, you want camel case. My favorite ID. And we can looking for in this way also. So now we can see, be ready. Yeah, as you can see, after the first rendering, the background get a color, random color, and anytime we click something happened here. I don't like it. Let me go back. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't recognize my favorite ID here. Maybe I mistyped. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this way. No, I don't know. Oh, this is embarrassing. Because yeah, this one we are setting white color as a background of this element. We can set in a color also. Okay. Okay, yeah, I know what happened. So sorry. Yeah, you already know. Sorry for this is embarrassing. Oh my goodness. Because it's my ID, it's not a class. That's why. So if we put class, of course, this is still working. We can use class because we are working with JavaScript, nothing real. So in this case, this point is better than React. Okay, so yeah, that's it. After render, that is the lifecycle hook we can use anytime we render after update the component. The next topic is just once. As you can imagine, it's almost the same, but it executes code, vanilla code, just after the first rendering. So in this case is the place where you can make a request into an API, RESTful API, in order to get the data for your application. So in this case, we keep the same code, just change the name of the method, and we can see what's happened. After the first click, the status is still changed, the background is still changed, but we override the same component, so that is why we lost the background after the first rendering. That is something that we can fix in future versions, but at the moment you can execute vanilla JavaScript after rendering. My advice is manage and handle CSS with classes and CSS, and don't use this kind of code like style, background, or set class, or class list, or toggle, or that kind of manipulation of the CSS. We have to set the classes and the CSS style on the one hand, and just add or take off or write classes into the object every time dynamically. Yeah, that is my advice. So finally, no, that's all for now. Of course, there are more strategies of how to use this framework and how to use this library. Sorry, and of course we are going to fix this. This says keywords framework. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. Where is it? I'm confused. Yeah, sorry. This was the library, the official library. I'm going to change framework by library because it's not a framework. It's just a library. You can use and interact with other libraries, of course, but in this case, we override anytime the component. People will think it's not performance, but we are using the same objects. There is the yeah, we have to research more about performance, but maybe there is no weakness about performance. Maybe it's just the problem about re-rendering, but no performance. So we will work about it in future versions. That's all for now. Thank you, and just enjoy the library. This is Kiwi JS, and thank you so much.